Hello everybody and welcome back to Building Southlake. So today we're actually going to work on a new building, kind of more of a apartment style. So some of you guys might be surprised by that. We've been doing more of business style buildings. So we're going to be doing a residential style building. Also, you might notice that the thing that we worked on last week is no longer there. Basically the stairs. I found out today when I went onto the map, it was gone. Don't know what happened to it. So that's where it is. Don't know. So today, we're going to continue working on this building. I'm not sure how exactly it's going to look quite yet. We're just going to figure that out as we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, like I said, no idea how this building's really going to look until it's done. Hopefully, it's going to look good. We are using some sandstone for it. So one of the other materials that I don't really use too much in some of my buildings anymore. You might have seen it more in the original downtown, but on this side, you're not going to see it as much. So we're going to stack this all the way up. It's going to be a pretty tall building. I want this to be like one of the high-end residential, buildings on the map. So we want it to be pretty tall. I think that might be good for now. Let's go back down. And we might take out the other potion to make us go up and down a little bit faster. Yeah, but a lot of you guys liked last week's video. I saw the video, or comments, excuse me. And I think some people did not watch the video all the way through to the title because it said, what do you guys want to see? And I was speaking like video-wise, and people were just like, you need to add an airport, you need to add this. Like, well, I mean, some of them, it's like, it's very often that you get the same comment all the time, like, hey, build an airport, build this, build that. There are some good ones in there to where, you probably never thought about it before. That are some good ideas. Like, yeah, that is a good idea. But most of the time, you've pretty much heard all of them. Especially with Southlake, I've heard a lot of comments about what people think I should add. And the answer to them is, especially like with the airport, it is going to happen at some point, just not, I do not know when, because I got to find the space for it. And as of right now, there's no space for it. I don't want to put it in downtown. That would just look really weird and would not be accurate, in my opinion. It can be close to downtown, but not directly in the downtown area. People always ask, when are you going to build houses? Well, kind of the same thing. I don't want to put houses right next to the city because then it's not going to look right. It's not going to blend well with the rest of the city. So we're really trying to balance everything, which is the hard part. Once we get done with all the skyscrapers, which should hopefully be, I don't know. It depends on how big we want this downtown area to be, in all honesty, but it can really depend on that. Let's take up our sandstone now. Let's take out the other potion that makes us go a little bit faster going up. Where is it? Potion of leaping. Here it is. So if you don't know, this is a nice little tip. If you're building straight up and down, this makes you go a lot faster, as you can tell. It's very nice. Somebody told me about this in the comments. I forgot who it was. Whoever told me about it, though, thank you very much. It does not affect you going down, only up. But it is still a fantastic tool to go faster. I'm not sure if it would work on PC because PC is a little bit more touchy. On Xbox, luckily, you can go up very, very fast without missing a block at a consistent basis. PC, I've tried it before and I cannot do it. So I'm not really sure if this would work on PC or not. I'm sure it'd still work in the same capacity, but not quite as well, if I could imagine. So what should we talk about today? So kind of talking about the airport. I've been talking about that the past couple of weeks, and more about, where are we going to build it? Because I've been telling you guys, I do want to start working on it at some point, kind of in the near future. Again, the hard part is trying to figure out where do I want it? Now, maybe like last month, I flew to Philadelphia for a wedding, and I liked how their airport was set up. I liked it because it was right next to the river. She didn't really have to worry about it, interfering with anything. And then it was just like a perfect location for it, and I feel like that might be a great thing to have. So basically, our river as of right now is right here. The only problem is, as of right now, is we don't know if we want to turn the river anymore, if we want to branch off of it into like smaller like streams and rivers, excuse me. I'm not sure if I want to turn it back into the main part of the city. A lot of that stuff still needs to be worked out, and I can probably do that pretty soon. I don't think that would take too long in all honesty. But there's always those things to where you have to think ahead about, if we do cut the river back into this part of the city, kind of like what we had on the original downtown areas, what we're looking at is, how do we want to build the city from there? And I can't see my materials. We'll find them. Yep. And I passed them right here. There we go. So really, there's just so much planning going ahead. I know I've been saying this the past couple parts because people always ask me, how do you build your cities? What is the best technique to building cities? You know, everybody always wants to know, like, what's the magic trick? And there is no trick to it. It's just, one, you have to be patient, which patience is learned. It's not really, you're not born with it. You know, so you have to be patient because cities take a long time, as you can tell. This one's been taking me over a year, and it's not even close to being done. So you have to have patience to build the city. That's like probably the main thing that you have to have when building something like this, because it just takes so long that it can't be rushed if you want it to look good. If you want it to turn out, you know, as best as you can, you know, you really need to take all your time, and, you know, even if it means taking 4 days working on one building, you have to do it if you want to make something look as best as possible and to what you think you should be building at. Otherwise, if you kind of compromise or think, okay, let me speed this up a little bit, what can I do in less time? You're compromising, which means you're not going to get as good of a product. So you really have to think what is best for the entire thing in general. And you always have to be thinking so many steps ahead. I mean, I keep saying this again. I always think 6 to 7, you know, videos ahead, and even more than that sometimes. For example, just look at the airport, for example. So it's not built yet, but I'm already planning on where I could build it. How do I want to build it? What kind of design do I want to go with? I'm thinking more modern design, which means I had to figure out how to incorporate a modern design into a airport. So there's a lot of different things, you know, that have to go into that, because one, if I choose modern, I don't want it to be ultra modern to where it's going to not look like anything else around it, especially because I want to be able to see downtown from the airport, you know, so I want it to be kind of the same style as everything else in the city, but maybe a little bit more new, like it's a newer airport. So again, there's so many things to plan ahead on, and that's probably the other hardest thing besides patience is planning that far ahead, even when you don't know if it's going to work out. I mean, some of these roads I had to plan out ahead of time because I'm like, well, I think this would work going here. Do I want to add a highway here? You know, so there's so many different things you really got to think about, guys, if you want to build your city correctly and how you think you should build it. So again, main thing is have patience, and you will eventually get to the city that you want to make personally, and you can go from there. But again, patience is the main thing that you got to have. So I've been playing a lot of Battlefield 1, kind of jumping to different topics here, but oh my god, it is such a fun game. As a lot of you guys, or maybe you guys don't know, Battlefield is my first-person shooter. I do not play Call of Duty except for Call of Duty 4 Remastered, because that is a classic Call of Duty, different than Infinite Warfare, which is in my opinion. I bought it, but I'm probably not going to play it anytime soon. I'll probably just play COD 4 Remastered. To me, it's just a better game. Hold on before we jump onto the next thing. So, where do we want the first building, or, not building, but thing to start? Let's also take these out real quick and start in the center. So, maybe we'll start right here and go up. The fun of just trying to plan and use different materials, and you don't know how it's going to look in every texture pack kind of thing. So, maybe what we can do is we'll add a wall, a cobblestone wall in between here. That might offset these a little bit. So, we'll put the cobblestone wall here in the middle. I think that actually might look pretty good. So I'm thinking maybe 15 to 20 stories is how tall I want this to be. You know, if that sounds like a lot. So we'll have to wait and see how tall that really turns out being. Because obviously I don't want it being as tall as that, even though that's a lot more than 20, I think. That would be my guess. So the question is, where do we want to start this next one? Because that is a very important decision that we have to make now for height-wise. So if we start it right here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we'll go 6 blocks for the patio. So I think that will be a pretty good height. So what we're gonna do is put cobblestone here, or not cobblestone, sandstone. Come back down, boop boop. Please place this here, come back up. All right, so now we need to have this come all the way up as well. So again, I'm taking a chance here on the sandstone here. I'm not sure if it's going to be the best material for this building. You know, I was thinking what other materials could look pretty good. So I'm kind of taking a gamble here. I mean, it's not like a life-changing gamble, but I'm taking a gamble with how I think it will look, because this is going to be more of a modern style to an extent. But the sandstone is definitely a good material to use. It's a lighter color, which I like in some of my modern buildings. So I think that might do it some justice. We'll just have to wait and see. So I think for the patio itself, we'll make it maybe 3 blocks wide. So 1, 2, and 3. And the reason we're going actually 4 is because of the fact that we will have, I'm thinking maybe some black stained glass for our railing, just like this. I think that will look pretty good. And that will be going all the way up. Next is figuring out how tall do we want everything to be. So this would, oh, wrong material. So our building would come around. We'd have a door here, just like this. I'm thinking maybe 4 blocks tall for the roof for this thing. Might be a pretty good height. So let's see. Then if we add this patio here, we also need to make sure that we are on the right height as well. So we are there. That's good. Are we here? No, we are not. So we actually need to move this up 1. Happy I caught that now, because that could really throw you off. So let's just kind of plan this out. So maybe it'd be like this. Just for now, just kind of, we'll replace some of the material later. So something like that, or is that too tall, you think? Oh, see, one of those decisions that you gotta make, it's tough. So I think if we make it there, how tall is that floor? So 2, 3, 4, 5, pretty much 5 blocks tall on the inside. So that's not too bad, I don't think. So I think we might go 5. So being that we are going 5, I don't think the building is going to end up being as tall, just because of the fact that, you know, it doesn't sound like a much. I was in between like a lot and much. But you got to think, so if I'm having 15 floors, you know, that's adding 15 more blocks to each floor pretty much as the entire building goes up. Not to each floor, but you guys get what I'm saying. So it can make a big difference on how tall your building will be. So it is, again, another big decision that you got to think of. Especially when it comes to interior wise. If you want to do interior to your buildings, you got to think of the fact of, okay, so when I get to the interior eventually, if you're like me, I want it to be as easy as possible, with headroom, headspace, all that kind of stuff. So what can I do ahead of time to make that as easy as possible? Like adding elevator shafts. Where could stairs go for access, you know, in a fire evacuation? Even though those don't happen in Minecraft, obviously. But if you want to be as realistic as possible, you got to think of those things. So that's what I'm trying to think of here. So if we do go up for a 5 block of headroom, that means we can actually add slab onto the roof to add better looking lights and interior to the building itself. Especially if we want this being a more high class apartment building kind of style. So I think that might be the best way to go here. So we'll add another thing here coming across. Yeah, I think that'll actually be a pretty good height. I think it's going to be like the perfect height for that. So the other thing that we need to do to kind of change this up is, so on every floor, we're going to add wide glass panes to kind of sprucing things up a little bit. Or glass blocks, excuse me. This one would go here. Just like this. So again, that should be 5. Ooh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the 6th block is where we add it. So then when we come back, you can see that there is a difference between the glass panes. It just adds a little bit more detail to it, makes it look a little bit more nice and high class, I guess. So guys, that's actually it for this part. So we will continue this building probably next week, if you would ask me. That'd be my guess. So I will talk to you guys later. Thank you very much for watching. It is greatly appreciated as always. If you do like this video, make sure you definitely hit that like button and subscribe if you are new to my channel. So bye-bye, guys.